Another symptom from lead poisoning is that it affects your ability to link two and two together. You can remember the facts, this happened and that happened, but you can't find the link between them. This is something that's temporary and it goes away when you resolve the source of the lead that's getting into your system every day on a daily basis. Yet another symptom of lead poisoning is that it affects your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are what calm you, adrenaline. And without adrenaline, the slightest noise or surprise action by the gang bullying you will make you literally shaking and make you jump. So it induces a feeling of being on edge all the time, which is exactly what the gang wants, especially when their gang's stalking you to rein you in like a sheep. Lead also affects your ability to speak. I was experiencing stuttering, which I had never had stuttered in my life. It takes away your ability to retrieve your vocabulary easily, and if you try to speak rapidly, you can't do it. So it's an instant discreditment tool as well. Not only can you not express yourself verbally and you need to rely on writing, but you present yourself as a shaking, nervous person who's overwhelmed and can't describe the crimes that they're going through. And for the gang, that's wonderful. They won't be arrested because you won't be taken seriously. By taking over a person's phone, not only can the perpetrators prevent their own arrest, by using phone forwarding, they can arrange for costume cops to come lest the victim call 911. They're also able to censor everything the person does and prevent them from reaching any web pages that's not good for the gang. Regarding a gang taking over your phone for the purposes of social hijacking to keep you within their scope of their gang and not lose control of you, I can give two examples of that. If you were to go to a social page or a chat page or a matchmaking page, they can present you with fake or altered web pages to misrepresent reality. And an example of matchmaking. I tried to purchase a matchmaking service because I'm tired of being alone, and the very first person that was suggested to me was the girl upstairs, Destiny Thompson's father, Dustin Blaine Thompson. And I guess he was not aware that I knew who he was. He visited here on Easter, and I'm very picayune about researching this family and making sure I look up all the mugshots and see the faces and identify these people. So I already knew who he was. The second example of web spoofing is a game called Tenant Chasing that we were experiencing, and I couldn't figure out how they were doing it. It was because the managers where I'm landing in these apartments are all part of the crime family, and they're taking it as kind of a sport to chase the tenant, even though we've been good tenants, never late with the rent, never any trouble, never, always take good care of the apartment. No reason to be chasing the tenant. When they chase me for harassment of my family, according to the internet, when I'm looking for my next place, my view of the internet is clearly censored, such as the page of gosection8.com that I have to use for Section 8. It'll only present the apartments where they either manage or own the buildings, so that we have like a sport going on of harassment, of sending me from one apartment to the next, so that I have to be constantly moving and with frail health, that's very difficult, especially when I'm being denied my finances. I can't afford a mover. So it's kind of like ping pong. They're bouncing you between one residence to the next that are controlled by them so that you don't accidentally leave their control. There's another trick they can do by owning your internet. They'll send you fraudulent, forged email replies to your complaints that you've made, such as someone stealing your Medicaid account or getting a letter that tells you there are 2 welfare accounts for your name, and make it appear that your complaints have been heard. If by some chance the victim reformats or reprograms their phone and they momentarily are able to talk to the outside world and speak to real law enforcement, the gang is immediately tipped off because the gang is already eavesdropping. The gang is going to be someone who's in the vicinity of the victim, such as in my case, it's in my apartment building surrounding me in the 4 apartments above, to the right, and to the left. By this, they most likely have a femtocell where they could suck my web connection even if they don't have malware on my phone, so that they're a man in the middle and able to eavesdrop. This, of course, is going to prevent their arrest. If they hear me reporting them, they're able to take actions to sidestep it. A good example of possible not getting through to 911 and getting through to the gang instead, impersonating, are two. We have a meth lab going on upstairs, and we've had police come and smell it upstairs, and the security officers smell it. Different range of smells, from putrid garlic smell to cat piss to lye, very strong lye odor, and phosphorus, sulfur, match smell. It's not believable to me that the police would not be concerned about a meth lab. A, for the fact that it's sickening me with blood coming out of my sinuses, as they do this every turn of the month as if they're getting ready to sell to welfare clients. But because meth labs can explode, this is the reaction that we got from the people dressed as police who came here, making excuses of why they can't do anything, and I'm just not, it's not sitting right with me. I think it's potentially imposters. The second thing is mid-October, the people in Apartment A, the Baileys of Georgia, who are related to this whole crime family, they went outside and shot 2 bullet holes into the vestibule, 2 feet away from my entry door. And the police came about 5 minutes later. But before they came in directly after the shots, 7 people, approximately out of the Bailey apartment, came outside laughing and joking, saying, "I heard 6, I heard 2, I heard 9, as if they were very confident that they couldn't be arrested. So when the police came 5 minutes later, they had all retreated inside apartment A. There are cameras all over the property that could have seen them. They could have verified those people were in there, and what were they doing? Joking, because apparently they were involved with the gunshots. The person dressed as a police officer timidly knocked on their door one time and said, "Police," in a very low voice, and then he said, "Well, I guess nobody's home." Police don't do that. Police bang on the door and say their name loudly, and I don't believe that this was an actual cop either, unless it's some type of frat game or a friend game. A person who's been poisoned with lead, such as from this laser experience, becomes dependent and incapacitated, and they can't fend for themselves. They need a heroic helping hand to extradite them from the situation. It doesn't help to tell them about the laser, because their intelligence is being daily impaired with a dose of lead. Another thing that I've noticed personally, it has nothing to do with the laser hacking, unless you want to consider it financial scamming and phishing. I've been under financial attack. I was awarded 3 years of SSI by a judge in 2014, and those 3 years were never given to me. It's approximately between $30,000 and $40,000. This is illegal, but financial attack is something that these gangs use when they want to rein a person in for their own profit, by taking away their options in the form of taking their finances away. Someone said to me the other day, there's been no known cases of laser hacking. Well, guess again, because police use laser listeners all the time, and since at least 20 years we've had a reverse laser listener which can broadcast the sound with a light beam laser onto a window and make people hear talking that doesn't really exist. So, if we can carry sound on a laser listener that's 50 years old or 40 years old, and we can reverse that and project sound through a light beam, then I'm sorry, but that's a crock. If you think nobody knows how to do that, because certainly I have pictures of it from California, 2 years old already, from my laser pirate. And the military's been using it for quite a while, but nobody's supposed to have that. Except there's a flaw with that logic, because Donald Trump gave surplus military stuff to the California police as soon as he took office. So regarding my friends asking me for advice, if any of these things ring a bell with you, I know that you're being hacked and stuff, and you have gang stalking going on, I would suggest that you find someone to extricate you from the situation, because if you're being impaired by lead, you're going to be in the same boat that I was in, and it's a boat where you can't help yourself, but it is a very good idea to ask someone in the outside world to see if they can assist you. I understand that you haven't had much results from the police and the FBI, etc. I would suggest that you write instead of speak, because your speech is going to be impaired by lead. As far as that goes, I can't suggest for you to move, because I know you've moved across the country at least 9 times to no avail, with this gang still stalking after you and taking advantage of you and terrorizing you. But I would suggest that if you have meth lab fumes in your house, that it's too dangerous for you to stay inside, even though you're paying rent and all that, and it's wintertime. They can be deadly. I would suggest that you sleep in your car, and I know that's not the best solution, because a pretty woman sleeping in her car could be dangerous, but we know that meth lab fumes are dangerous, and there's just no way you should be subjecting yourself to that. Now, As far as this boyfriend goes of yours, I don't know why you're dating him, but I think that you should have more self-respect. Um, Someone who doesn't come pick you up is, I don't know, it's not a gentleman. And even if you claim you're kind of like friends and you're not really serious about one another, one of the prerequisites to being friends is that you treat someone with basic human respect. And if the boyfriend sees this stuff going on of gunshots and meth labs and gang crap where you live, and he claims, he's too busy with stuff or he's got to wait a while till he's not busy, and then he doesn't show up, I would tell you, you're a nice girl and everything, and you're a knockout, and you're like a completely faithful person. You've spent a lot of time in your life on noble endeavors. So I would say that you're worth more than that, and that he's not a good candidate for a boyfriend. You should find someone else. Everybody likes to have company, but putting your job above someone is one thing, but then when you finally have them sitting there waiting for you and you don't show up, with drastic shit going on, I would tell you that you should re-examine your self-respect and think about just finding someone who's worth it. So he also said that he doesn't bother calling or writing. He's got all these excuses, but I think that if he really wanted to, he could find a way. So I would just tell you to, that's one thing that could help you, is to have a boyfriend. And I know you've been waiting a long time for him to come around, but you have to draw a line somewhere. So I know you don't want to seem ungrateful for the things he's done, but you need to take another look at that, because I think you're in danger. And even though it might not be really apparent to the eye, it should be apparent to being told about it. And I'm sure you've told him about it, right? So also about that thing I sent you in the mail, that gold band that I found. Maybe you could take it and hawk it and get some money to get yourself here. And if you get yourself here, you can see how it goes. But there's always safety in numbers when you're going through stuff. And I know you're going through stuff. So, I don't know what to tell you except you should, not to be mean or anything, but you should get rid of this guy because he's all wrapped up in himself. And if he's not and it just looks that way, you should talk to him. But from what you've told me and from you waiting such a long time for him to come back from his abroad job, and that time has passed now, I think that that's an alternate solution for you, to find someone loving and caring and a good human being who protects women and children and things like this that are basic decency kind of things. And someone who picks you up. Don't be taking buses or traveling alone. Who does this guy think he is? Especially after he's gotten stuff from you and things like this. So, be nice about it and say thank you. But, you're a beautiful girl, and you have the highest standards that I know of the way you live your life. And you're like 1 in a million. And if somebody doesn't know that, plus he's really old, find someone younger. Because I don't think he deserves you. Yeah, we don't speak to people who don't answer us. We don't leave messages for jerks who don't call back. If there's some kind of explanation for it, it would be forthcoming. So, those are things you should think about. And I hope things get better for you. And I hope you find a way to have some fun. And I hope you'll be hearing from me soon. Oh, and I want to say, regarding your music writing, I love the fact that we're both musicians and stuff. Regarding your music writing, why don't you try to find a good singer and do something with that? Because, even if you just make demos and sell them for other people to do, there's something you could do. And the fact that this guy you know, the one you're dating, he's a musician, but he doesn't want to include you in his activities. Um, that's not really how relationships go. So I would suggest not only do you find a new boyfriend, but you find one who's a good singer. 'Cause that's what you're looking for, right? And try to put some music together and get yourself out of this culty, weird gang place where you are. So, yeah, I'm not very good at holding the phone. Sorry about that. So, those are some other objectives: music, hocking that gold ring I gave you, and having some cash to get here, or losing the boyfriend who never shows up and find someone worthwhile and do two birds with one stone and find a music partner who could sing your pieces for you. Okay. Yeah, there's no reason why you have to settle for less than that. Alright, and nobody has to be changing their life for you. Find someone who's ready to fit in like a piece of a puzzle. You should really find somebody who's a gentleman, you know, that answers you when you speak. Who needs to be treated like a doormat? And nobody's that busy. I mean, I'm sure he finds time for what he considers important to him. So all this busy talk means really basically that he's just being polite and you're not important at all. So if you're not important as a girlfriend, and you're not important even as a friend or a fellow human being, or, you know, a fellow musician, then I don't think you should waste your time on him. But all of that is up to you. You know, you're a big girl, you're gonna do what you do. I'm just pointing out what I see. And one more thing. Speaking of self-respect, you and I have always been friends because, you know, you're part Italian and you relate to royalty, and I'm just as related to royalty. I probably should be a duchess. But despite the fact of having no title, we both have this genetic way of acting, which is a noble way of acting. It doesn't matter if we have a title or not. But you should remember that at all times when, you know, like evaluating this boyfriend relationship and how he treats you. Because it's genetic, and we've been raised that way by our parents to think highly of ourselves and to treat others well. You know, kind of like a noble person from the real sense of the word noble. But it's ignoble of this guy to be out playing tennis or whatever he's doing, or, you know, taking trips to Kenya, and he's done with his work for this season, right? So where is he? But anyway, never forget that you should consider yourself, because you literally are, uh, the quality of a princess, and there's nobody else like you. We're rare birds. And for someone to have a girl like us is a lucky thing, you know? Even if they were paupers or whatever, I wouldn't take someone with $1 million with a 10-foot pole if they act like an asshole. So, I'd rather find a nice person in a soup kitchen than that. So, don't worry about the shit you've been put through by crimes. Being a victim of crime is never the person's fault. And don't listen to him if he makes you cry and say stuff like that. But, the way someone acts is who they are. Not the facade who they try to pretend they are. You know, all fancy, schmancy, and stuff like this. You could be talented, but, you know, you could also be an asshole. So I'm never an asshole to people. I'm even nice to my enemies. So always remember that you're a princess, sweetheart, and you don't deserve any less than that. And if someone is less than that and that's all you could find, then be alone. That's what I've done for 20 years, and I'm not about to give it to someone who acts nonchalant like they think they're Don Juan, because that's not my cup of tea. My cup of tea is definitely not Don Juan or wolves. I stay far away from those, and ego trips. So, if there's any misunderstanding going on between you and this guy, maybe he has some other emergencies that are really going on he doesn't want to discuss or whatever, you need to have a talk with him. Because without communication, you know, it's just a bunch of bullshit. So, try your hardest, but if it doesn't work, be prepared to find someone worthy of you. It doesn't have to be someone rich, it just has to be someone with a good heart and half a brain. So, if you need me to give you a pep talk or anything like that, I can give you one. I'll give you one right now. You've been a musician since you're a kid. You're fucking phenomenal. You're a phenomenal musician. You're a natural born musician. You're not some poser. Um, you're pushing 60 and you still have your high school figure. You haven't had intimate relations in 20 years, and you've never had a baby the normal way. So you're the equivalent of a high school girl. And anyone your age or older, that you get serious about, they're lucking out. There's just nobody like you, honey. You're gorgeous. You don't look your age. You're the nicest person I know. You have a genius IQ. Yeah, maybe you were in a tough situation, but the situation was asking for help, and this guy did nothing. He just sat there and said he was busy. Nothing that you could see anyway. That wasn't really what you were asking for. You were asking for extrication from the situation, and they unfortunately seemed too busy, right? So, I don't know what to tell you. Nobody's job is that busy. I mean, I'm sure he's made tons of room for himself in the past couple of months since he finished his whatever his business was in that country. But yeah. And Christmas and New Year's to be left alone, I don't know. That's just not right. He said that he had some reason why he couldn't be there or whatever. But how many Christmases have you spent alone? Life is short. We just had Neil Peart died today, and everyone gets called when they don't know it. And you gotta decide what's important to you, or if you want to just putz around. So I was just gonna tell you that if you need a pep talk, you're freaking gorgeous. You have a million talents. I don't think there's anything you can't do. You make jewelry and clothes, and you have a phenomenal painter. You've won awards for your art, and you've had your music on the radio, and you play almost every instrument there is, and you're a phenomenal poet. You're related to some really fine writers, the finest writers the world has known. So remember that you're a descendant of royalty and start acting like me. If I'm the grandkid, the direct grandkid of King Henry VIII, that makes me a princess whether I have a title or not. And that's how I think of myself. So don't let this guy say stuff to you derogatory, like he misperceived you as desperate because some gang is taking hold of you, like they think you're an aphid and they're an ant. That's what real noble people are for, and that's what, people who act chivalrous do. They don't just sit there and watch. So you gotta think real careful about this guy and make a list of everything, that he's done and everything you need, and see if he meets your needs. But you have a lot to offer someone, and don't let somebody talk to you like that or call you stupid. Being poisoned and being stupid are two different things entirely. And to know someone's IQ is a genius level and see them acting like that, you should have suspected that. Tell them those things. And find yourself somebody good. Because certainly if he truly felt the way he said, well, he'd put his money where his mouth is. And, if he said some things in anger or misperceiving, he would take them back and make amends. That's what people do. Unless they're, some kind of a head case or an ego case. He sounds like a poser to me. I don't know what to think. Maybe you misjudged him. Alright. So, and also remember, me and you were going to be nuns. That's how we rule our life. There's not many people like us. But, oh, and one more thing. I just want to be clear. Seeing that we haven't been speaking for a while, and it's been a while since you talked to me, if I've gotten anything wrong, just let me know. Because, I'm not the best person to understand, since what I've been going through is, laser harassment by these retards, pirates that already had a laser. And, anyway, I was gonna say, if there's anything I've misunderstood or forgotten that you told me that I didn't address, let me know. I'm gonna try to get in touch with you and let you know that I wrote to you here, because I know you have a problem with your mail and your phone often. Hacking sucks, doesn't it? But, anyway, let me know. I've tried to understand you to the best of my ability, but since we're not speaking, it's not all that easy. Just to quickly ask you if I misunderstood anything that you said. I'm a polite person, and I don't believe in letting my Henry VIII anger or pride get in the way of someone that I care about. So, forget the disagreements we've had. I always will care about my good friends. No matter what, I would give them the shirt off my back. That's just how I am. And there's a lot to be said for a widow's mite compared to, a few bills in a can when you have zillions of them. But anyway, take care, and I hope things get better for you. And to clarify if I misunderstood anything that you said, or if you have any new problems that you need to have advice on, and you're always welcome at my house. That's an offer that never will go away. Okay. I'm a loyal person as well as a noble person. Take care.